Hey, it's Sam, and I don't know the secrets of the universe or anything, but I do like religious movies. Probably not for the reason they were made. Let's talk about God's Not Dead in 2014.
We're going to put God on trial.
If you think you're smarter than me, do not try to humiliate me in front of my students. In that classroom, there is a God. I'm him.
This experiment is over. You get to decide who the most important person in your life is. Me, Professor Radisson.
But I have to do this thing. Like it's something that God wants me to do. I can't just turn away from it.
You just want to ensnare them in your primitive superstition.
What I want is for them to make their own choice. That's what God wants.
You have no idea how much I'm going to enjoy failing you.
Yeah, but who are you really looking to fail? Me or God?
God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion.
Science supports his existence. You know the truth. So why do you hate him? It's a very simple question. Why do you hate God?
God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion.
Harold Gronk's God's Not Dead. A movie I've been considering watching over and over, deciding what to write about it. It was written by Carrie Solomon and Chuck Konzelman. They're inspired by Rice Brock's book, God's Not Dead, Evidence for God in an Age of Uncertainty. This feels like kind of like the echo chamber afforded by cable news networks and cell phone and social media networks come to life. I always wondered how white upper middle class Americans constantly could feel like they're under assault. People are trying to destroy their way of life when they're always winning. Watch this movie. Josh Wheaton went to college to be a lawyer, but the school he chose was the third choice of his girlfriend, Kara. Cassidy Gifford, yes, the daughter of Frank and Kathy Lee. That said, she's planned their whole life together. What she was not ready for was the class of atheist philosophy professor Jeffrey Radisson, who makes all of his students sign a paper that God is dead. That man is played by Kevin Sorbo, who is totally doesn't believe he's playing against type. He's winking to you. He's like, this isn't me. You know, in the same way that I wasn't Hercules. I am not Professor Jeffrey Radisson. Josh just agrees, and for the entire movie, he has a battle with his teacher, who acts as no instructor ever has before, going all in to hate the Lord and his beloved Josh. The final debate ends when Josh asks Radisson why he hates God so much, to which the man replies, he killed my mom. And instead of reacting with empathy, Josh says, how can you hate someone you don't believe in? And then Martin stands up and says, God's not dead. And the class joins in, and the professor runs from the room after he's dumped by his girlfriend Mina, and he gets hit by a car and dies. But while he's dying, Reverend Dave helps him pray, and then the entire Newsboys concert is led by Willie Robertson from Duck Dynasty into haughtily laughing that Josh got one over on his teacher, which is intercut with the teacher dying in the street. This argument is ended just like every bad argument you had in high school, where you're like, hey, your mom, and they say, my mom's dead, and you're either forced to get sad and be like, you have three choices. You can either get sad, you can get sad and say, I'm sorry, and kind of show tail and lose, or you can say, yeah, we dug her up. And do you know what I mean? Like, and none of these answers are right. Like, pulling the mom card is very much like the nuclear option, and you're forced with choices you're going to make. But again, Professor Jeffrey Radisson dying in the street because Josh one-upped him. His girlfriend gets so upset she breaks up with him, and all these things happen to him. Also, in the middle of all this, Mina's brother Mark, Dean Cain, hates their dementia-having mother, who reveals that Satan made him successful. What? A Muslim woman named Aisha, the girl I never had because I wanted to get to know you better, is another bad creation once saying, is thrown out of her house for converting her religion. Mark dumps left-wing blogger Cancer News getting Amy as she goes after Duck Dynasty. This movie feels like 21 Grams, except the stories don't wrap up. But I can imagine the people, persecution complex having people, love this because it tells it like it is, as nobody has shades of gray. There are no multitudes in anyone, just shrill God-hating liberals out to decimate the red-blooded American way of life, which, when I last checked, guarantees religious freedom, even if it was written by unrepentant slave masters. This could all change at any moment. I mean, I hate getting political on this show, but let's just be real for a second. Like, bad. So, I mean, that's a very flip way of saying it. But so when I watch these movies, I'm living in a world where time feels trapped in 2014, a time when it seemed like things were so simple and we could laugh at these things. And now, looking at the gallows, it feels like, anyways, time changer. 2002, a movie that could fool you. The movie doesn't seem like it's going to be a religious film. After all, it has a time travel concept.
In the year 1890, all is well at the Grace Bible Seminary.
Gentlemen, Dr. Carlyle has authored a manuscript entitled The Changing Times.
The board is about to endorse their top professor's latest book.
Insightful, Russell. Excellent reading. I, too, Russell, found it highly thought-provoking. Despite several misspelled words and much bad grammar, I have no objection.
But when a member refuses to consent...
What Dr. Carlyle is implying is that we can put forth the standards of Christ apart from his name, and I think this is deadly.
Everything will change.
Sir, I would like to ask for an exception to the unanimity rule by the board.
Doctor, I cannot change the policy. Such endorsements must be unanimous.
Two colleagues will become adversaries.
I am surprised you will not endorse the book. To be more accurate, I am shocked.
I've invited you to my home to explain why I am saying this.
A friendship will be tested.
What is this?
This machine can transport a person through time.
I beg your pardon?
And the only thing that can settle their dispute
Norris, what is happening?
is a journey
Norris!
to the future.
October 21st, 2000.
Now, in the 21st century,
Must have come in on a long trip, huh?
One could say that.
Russell Carlyle will come face to face
And who are you, mister?
with the future he never imagined.
May I ask where you attend church?
Oh, I ain't got no time for no church.
A future he was warned about.
Young lady, you do understand that stealing is a sin.
Says who?
And the only way he can make things right
This is an extremely critical time for the church.
is to turn back the clock.
You must stop this movie! The man on the screen just blasphemed the name of the Lord!
This guy must be one of those legalists thinks all movies are sinful.
Pardon me?
D. David Morin,
Thank you for treating me in such a fair and Christian manner.
Gavin McLeod,
My friend, time travel is possible.
Hal Linden,
I would strongly urge you to resolve your differences with Dr. Anderson.
Jennifer O'Neill,
I always believed in God, but I didn't have a clue who Jesus Christ was.
Richard Reilly,
I just see this as a matter of standing up for something which you believe is important.
and Paul Rodriguez.
Hey, preacher man got himself some new threads, huh?
Threads?
You know, clothes, rags, ropa.
They say no one can change the past.
Russell Carlyle's been dead since 1936.
That can't be the same guy.
One man must.
Carlyle, in a hurry to go somewhere?
Time changer.
You must see for yourself what happens in the future.
A rich Cristiano film.
That seems against the Bible. It's got a recognizable cast. Hal Linden, Gavin McLeod, Paul Rodriguez, Richard Reel, and Jennifer O'Neill. Yes, Jennifer O'Neill from Fulci's The Psychic. Bible professor Russell Carlyle shares his new book, The Changing Times, with the leaders of the Grace Bible Seminary. The big idea in this book, you can have good morals without Jesus Christ. This is something, I don't know how this is a surprise to anybody. People can be moral and have morals. I mean, has existed. Everyone, by anyone, I mean, Barney Miller and Richard Reel agree this is a good thing. The only person who doesn't is Dr. Norris Anderson. Gavin McLeod's still alive. Who has a time machine. What? And he's going to have Carlyle ride in it and send him 100 years in the future to now. And in that future, he's frightened by everything. Carlyle is like cars, telephone, laundromats, Paul Rodriguez, baseball, children, unmarried men and women kissing, tipping people who carry your baggage. Even though tipping was invented in the Middle Ages in Europe when servants would receive extra pay from good service. Wealthy Americans learned of it when they started traveling to Europe in the mid-1800s. Carlyle is said to be rich. Tipping is not anything that should blow people's minds. It is, of course, to ugly Americans. So I'm sure anyone watching this movie is like, yeah, why are we tipping? Anyways, he's afraid of everything, taking the Lord's name in vain in a movie. He's not afraid of the movie. He's not afraid. He's never seen a movie before. These magic objects playing on the screen. You know, like how people ran from theaters when the Great Train Robbery played there. No, but when he hears the Lord's name in vain, like that's the thing. It's just, he's like, I can't. And I get it. It's one of the big sins. I really try to go out of my way not to do it. Up until now, Carlyle's been a comedy character, happily befuddled by the strangeness of modern times, yet things start to get to him. Divorce, women's clothes on a mannequin, men wearing women's clothes. all play for laughs, except for when he goes to the school, someone he meets at church, and lectures the class of how science works and drops this on them, saying, "Remember, students, if any scientific record contradicts the scriptures, it is the scientific finding that is in error. The scriptures are never wrong." The scene is so strange because up until now, we've been shown that Carlisle's a well-meaning moron. One of those so smart they're an idiot movie characters who invent flubber but can't make it to any appointment on time. But now, are we to empathize with him when he thinks that religion should be kept out of school? Or are we to take his dialogue, like God's holy word is so trustworthy? It's amazing that how it is recorded scientific fact hundreds of years before scientists ever discovered them, and has been proven accurate 100% part of the time. Is he a goofball? No, not anymore. As he goes to meet Mrs. Bain, the librarian Dr. Anderson told him to check in with, because that's Jennifer O'Neill. She brings this movie to sheer white persecution mania just when you thought you were watching a science fiction movie, telling that our nation is no longer built on the Bible principles set forward by our forefathers. Even though in the Treaty of Tripoli, written in 1797 and sent to the Senate by John Adams, it states that the government of the U.S. is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. Yet more importantly, while many of the morals in the U.S. are indeed based on Judeo-Christian principles, there is no demand to practice Christianity or any religion. The First Amendment, the First Amendment thing, says that Congress should make no law respecting an establishment religion or prohibit the free exercise thereof. People are free to believe whatever they want. That's far from being based on religious principles. You can read things however you want, or you can realize that a lot of these people left Europe to get away from religious persecution. Yes, they were slave owners and horrible people too. There are shades of black and gray to everyone, but this is what I believe because I fact for that stuff. Anyway, she goes on to say, we've lost prayer in school since the Supreme Court's decision in 1962. Yes, official state-sponsored and mandated prayers led by school officials aren't allowed, but moments of silence and private prayers are allowed. Where there's a test in school, you can't tell me people aren't praying, they'll pass it. But then she gets to secular entertainment is one of the biggest tools Satan used to mislead people, and that Hollywood started in the 1930s. Wrong. In Old California, there was the first movie shot in Hollywood in 1910. The movie started with a code and ethics. Wrong. The Hays Code was a self-imposed set of guidelines for movies, not started until 1934 and ended in 1968. The failing of morals can be attributed to movies after. There's always someone to blame. This movie's blaming it on movies, yet it's a movie, much less what seems to be a secular movie and hidden a religious movie inside it. Don't worry, we're getting back to wacky hijinks. Our hero goes to church and tells everybody that they're living in the end times. And then he gives a Bible to Paul Rodriguez, the guy from A.K. Pablo. Remember when A.K. Pablo was going to be a big hit, and it lasted 6 episodes? And I was watching Entertainment Tonight as a child, and I was like, this is it. Norman Lear's back in 6 episodes. 2 guys at the church have always been weirded out by him chasing him into an alley. He goes back into his own time from the time machine. They think it's the rapture. At the end of it all, Carlisle decides to change his book. He even shows a young boy who yelled at the beginning of the movie the errors of his ways, giving him marbles and a lesson about Jesus. But wait, Captain Stooping decides to send a Bible through his time machine to find out when the world ends. He thinks it could be 2050. That's the way the world makes you see things. Does it come back? I don't know. Director and writer Rich Cristiano is still making movies. I like a lot of this movie, actually. It just feels like it goes all over the place in its narrative. And then outright has moments where the truth isn't being told, can be moral and good without belief. I think so. I'm no theologian, but I can't even pronounce it. This movie says, no way. It would be so easy to just shoot a fish in a barrel and make fun of this film. I mean, I did fire a lot of ammo in this show, but I still enjoyed to spend the time watching it. Hearing the Hollywood scene made me scream my television. And then again, I own an uncut copy of Emmanuel America, so I am in no way to be listened to. I am part of the enemy here. Anyways, I watch all sorts of movies. I talk about them. B&SAboutMovies.com. Write to me, bnsaboutmovies@gmail.com. Let's talk movies. Thanks for listening.